I'm back again with updates on a happily ever after that turned into a living nightmare. The idea of turning your homes into money-making backups was a startup by a group of young entrepreneurs in 2007, which birthed AirBnB. This was a simple concept. AirBnB, which initially met with a lot of side eyes, is now a $100 billion industry known as STR or short-term rental. With its explosive popularity, almost all Americans have stayed or booked an STR. But right now, the opinions of many are changing as the dark truths of Airbnb have started to come out. The sustainable alternative people thought that this would be for overgrown hotels quickly became an unprecedented concept that has completely revolutionized the real estate landscape. A concept that was previously unheard of had the capability to seriously alter the prices and neighborhood dynamics as Airbnb has spread throughout the United States. Hundreds of cities are blaming this industry for its speculation, crime, and greed, claiming it should be illegal. The biggest problem is the park and profit theory, which allows the rich to snatch up properties, paying little to no tax, taking advantage of America's relaxed laws on home appreciation income. With housing affordability at an all-time low, the pressure building up has made the public furious. New laws that have piled up regarding transparency, pricing, market rigging, fees, and safety concerns have now transformed into a massive bubble that could explode anytime soon. People call this the Airbnb bubble, and current signs point towards a sharp demise that could affect the entire housing market. A quick history check would help you understand this situation more. For example, in a tourist hotspot like Sarasota, you'll see buildings with just a light or two on, and it's not so uncommon. These wealthy-owned units are a means of having a safe place to park surplus capital. With this process, thousands of units are being pulled off of the long-term rental market just for the benefit of STRs. The situation in Sarasota is a more unsettling look into the data of AirDNA, as 1 in 3 homes are listed as an STR, with approximately 6,500 listings. A staggering number for an area that is made up of 24,000 households. This oversaturation makes Sarasota one of the most densely Airbnb populated regions in the entire United States. Affluent people have quickly realized that renting out a second and third home yields more money than securing a long-term rental. This trend has turned into a widespread takeover of vast areas in the United States. As a consequence, the overall price perception has spiked up. The Airbnb craze and the speculative nature of the market has created quite a mix of things, especially in places like Florida. But before we get into that, let's see how this affected the banking industry. Overflowing Airbnbs has pushed into bad loans, which is now a threat to the entire financial system. The affordability crisis in the housing market does not go unnoticed, and housing prices have surged in Sarasota. Since January 2020, the median price of homes across the United States has increased by a significant 47%, but the escalation in Sarasota has been a staggering 68%. Along with these details, another disturbing fact was revealed. This whole Airbnb phenomenon has spiked up housing costs, and it is due to nothing other than the uncontrollable obsession of owning Airbnb rentals. The fascination of short-term gains has got the real estate landscape on a chokehold, as prioritizing transit accommodations over long-term stability is beneficial. With the thirst for immediate profits over the dire need for affordable and sustainable housing, the market dynamic has become distorted. Can you blame the people for it though? Even with these absurd prices and interest rates, there's still money to be made in these areas. A random example from a list-in from Redfin proves my point. An 1,800 square foot duplex in Sarasota, Florida is listed for $500,000, but just in 2018, it was sold for $157,000. Be it appreciation or renovation, such a growth is simply unbelievable. At the end of the day, an asset is priced accordingly to what someone will willingly pay. But the situation today is that regular citizens are getting priced out due to pseudo-commercial entities operating as regular people, and obviously, it's a hard competition for the regulars. The monthly payment for this house today would be $3,500 if you put down 20% on a 30-year mortgage, paying around 7% interest. Now, that is tough for an average family. But with the use of the Property Earning Potential tool on AirDNA, a revenue of $90,000 can be expected. What about the other expenses, you may ask? Even so, you can still earn around $64,000 in net profit per year. This would be 3 to 4 times the amount you would earn from a long-term rental, with CD rates around 5%. No wonder investors are flocking around like vultures. The beauty in STRs compared to traditional investment avenues is the higher returns, and to add to that, the tax advantages of real estate investments sweetens the deal. Now, all of this may be fun for the rich, but what eventually follows is a rapid rise in pricing as a consequence of this influx of investments. This sudden spike could easily tumble the house of cards all around the country with this heavy competition. Taking the rich as an example, the people with poor finances will jump in on this gold rush. The first would be to pay in cash to avoid interest expenses and loan restrictions. However, this isn't available for everyone. The next possible option is a VSCR loan, which was originally meant for things like hotels, but with Airbnbs, it has snuck into the residential market. There is a downside to it though. They carry a higher interest rate and often require a minimum down payment of 25%. Thus, this is not everyone's first option and is often overlooked in favor of another, the regular mortgage. The main strategy employed by short-term rental operators is the use of conventional primary residence mortgage. Why? The simplicity of the process with a 30-year payment plan and a minimal 5% down payment chance gains focus. However, this is mortgage fraud, as this was designed to cater to the needs of regular families in normal living conditions. This shift from its intended purpose raises concerns about the ethical use of financial instruments designed to foster personal residence and community development. It is true that they mandate that the owners live in the property and prohibit commercial use, but still, this abuse is overlooked by many regulatory bodies. Such fraudulent trends inevitably lead to an inflation of prices. A working paper from Philadelphia Federal Reserve does a deep dive into the extensive scope of this issue. It mentions that people lie about living in the property they buy, which is actually called occupancy fraud. This is done in hopes of better mortgage terms, and these deceptions are widespread now. It also states that 1/3 of the homeowners are actually investors. However, fraudulent borrowers are more likely to default at a higher rate, and they are quite strategic about it too. They intentionally stop paying when the home prices fall. The past 3 years show a sudden surge in housing prices, which is favorable for such investors who thrive in fraudulent market conditions. However, extensive use of these moves can end in the erosion of the whole stability of the real estate market, as well as the banking system. Here's the cherry on top for the chain of bad news I've been listing today. Greed doesn't stop these investors from moving on to the next possible deal. DSCR loans, or debt service coverage ratio, is another option for an investor once the loopholes in the previous area is maxed out. However, this loan was initially meant for commercial properties, but it has made its way into this gray area with Airbnb. The unique point of DSCR loans is that it does not rely on the borrower's personal income or assets, but the value of property under consideration and its projected revenue potential. In other words, you don't need a job or an income to get this loan. How simple is that? But debt will soon have you in a chokehold. It's true that it's very possible to generate a 20% cap rate on a good property, but as soon as the loans go underwater, your sand of gold will turn into quicksand of bankruptcy. DSCRs are given away based on assumptions of income that are even often overstated. If we hut a recession, these properties will quickly move towards bankruptcy. With so much investments going into this STR industry, the next crash has already been set up, starting with the investors who are masked of their recklessness with their gold rush. They are surely riding the line between outright fraud and risky bet. It's apparent by now how a single website has completely altered the future of real estate. All of these consequences faced by homebuyers can be simply explained by the greed of speculative investors looking to maximize profits with as little money as possible. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it, and let me know what you're seeing in your local market, especially if you live near these Airbnb hubs.